Yo, entrepreneurs, if you are in a position where you can determine how much you get paid for the work that you do, please ask for what you truly need to do the work. The times in my career when I have failed, it is because I have taken on projects and clients and I did not charge them what I actually and truly needed to do the work. And the way I price, I have a formula that I've researched and thought about over many, many years. And all I have to do is plug in information about the project and it spits out how much I should charge the client. And I've had this formula for many years. And I was at a position several years ago where I would use this formula and it would spit out a number and I'd be like, man, that is too much. I do not feel comfortable asking for this amount of money to do this project. And I would go through and I would arbitrarily try to reduce the number. So I would change assumptions about the project. I would assume that I could do more work instead of hiring other people to help out, or I would assume that it wouldn't take as much time when in actuality, I knew it was going to take longer. And I would do these things to try to reduce the number so I could get to a point where I was comfortable going to the client and saying, here's my quote. Do you want to work with me? And what ended up happening is that I would get the deal because I lowballed myself, and I would fail because I didn't have enough money to resource the project in the way that it needed, or I felt underappreciated and I'd be angry with the client. But it wasn't their fault, it was my fault. I'm the one that underbid myself. They just said yes to what I put in front of them. And if you're like me and how I was at that time, that fear of asking for what you truly need to do the work comes from the fear of the client saying no and not getting the deal. And in actuality, when you go to a client and you give them a quote, one of two things is going to happen. One possibility is that they'll say yes. And so if you do have a scenario where the client would say yes, when you go through and you underbid yourself, you're negotiating against yourself. You're actually cheating yourself out of what you deserve. That's on you. The possibility where the client could say no. So your fears of not getting the deal could actually come true. The client could say no. And that's actually okay. Because if the client is unable to pay what you're asking for, then that's not a client that you need. Because your pricing is your pricing for a reason. When you determine how much you charge for your services or your product or whatever you're offering, a lot of thought goes into that. And not everyone's going to be able to pay it, and that's fine. You don't need every client. You don't need every deal. And as entrepreneurs, I think that we often get addicted to chasing the illusion of success, that we just take on projects just to be like, yo, I'm working. Right? If you're working, but you're not actually getting compensated for that work in the way that you need, then you're actually taking several steps backward instead of the necessary steps forward. So don't be afraid to ask for what you're worth and what you need to do good work. Your pricing is your pricing. Don't run from it.